noting that this is only one class of voters who broke the law.
Now, this is only one class of voters that we know have violated the law. You know, there are investigations ongoing into people that have voted in 2 different jurisdictions, and I imagine you are going to see prosecutions on that. We also have folks who are voting who are illegal aliens that are not citizens of the United States, and as we know, in Florida's Constitution, the only people eligible to vote are U.S. citizens.
DeSantis says all records related to the 2020 election are being preserved as their investigation continues. The state's primary elections are coming up on Tuesday, and a top priority for the state is to ensure that no ballot harvesting happens. DeSantis has signed some of the most stringent voting laws in the nation, and the governor says his office is ready to enforce them as primaries and midterms unfold.
We can do this, and nobody's going to stop us from doing this, and you better make the necessary adjustments. The third thing I saw is, oh my God, we're 90 days from an election. Didn't James Comey tell us that when he was investigating Hillary Clinton and he found thousands of emails that were classified, and there was evidence that she took a hammer and broke up her devices and bleached it, programmed to bleach it? He basically said, well, I can't go. She did things that were wrong, but she's a candidate. I'm not going to interfere in an election. And then I remember when they impeached Donald Trump, it was on a phone call, and the phone call was, this Biden family has been very crooked, and in the past they've been bragging about how they've interfered with an investigation of their son, and since we give you a lot of money, we don't want to give you a lot of money because we can't trust you because you tend to give favors to the Biden family in order that you continue to get aid. In fact, Joe Biden has said, bragged, I stopped that aid, and I said, I leave, they get no money. And they impeached him, and if you go back and look at the transcript, the reason they said they impeached him was that Joe Biden would be a likely candidate. Therefore, Donald Trump was using his office to preemptively hurt a possible candidate. So this is the Garland. I don't know. Will they impeach Joe Biden? But they're going to have to do something if that what is not answered. And this brings up a larger question because we're in a revolutionary cycle where the left has now said, under the pretext that Donald Trump is so extraordinarily threatening to the republic that it requires any means necessary to end him, and therefore we're going to do things that are revolutionary. And what do I mean by that? Well, they tried to do things legally, or they tried to do things that were institutional. Let's get rid of the filibuster. Let's pack the court. We're going to bring in 2 more states. We're going to have a national voting law. We're going to get rid of the electoral college. None of that's worked yet. So now they're doing things extra legally. And what would that be? Well, we've established a precedent that the House minority leader has no say about the nominations on a committee. The Speaker of the House says, no, no, no. No one is going to be on the January 6th committee and bother us unless they meet 2 criteria. They have to have impeached Donald Trump, and they have to be politically inert with no future in the Republican Party. And then you can serve. And now the message is, they're also saying, if we don't like the State of the Union, we tear it up on national TV.
To make their case for keeping each part of the affidavit private. After that, he'll weigh the requests. Paul Graney, NTD News.
Students who attended a university called ITT Tech. It was a for-profit college that closed in 2016. Now, we don't blame the students for this, but it does raise questions about the administration's loan forgiveness initiatives. What is your take on this?
Well, you know, Steve, it goes back to the old, and again, I commiserate with the students themselves and buying loans that now they really didn't get anything from. But it goes back really to the great adage, caveat emptor, know what you're buying when you buy it. And while there is always a risk in any purchase whatsoever, what the Biden administration is teaching, and it's teaching youth, it's teaching the country for that matter, is everybody is a victim. And if you're a victim, then the government will help you out. And sadly enough, you know, life is full of hard knocks. I don't think that we should now be paying for educational benefits, which these students received, and they could transfer some credits, I would imagine. on the backs of people who, one, never went to school, or two, never benefited from anything like this. And so it's just sad. You can't sit there and tell every student, especially every young kid, that life is easy and everything, if there's a mistake made, that it will be forgiven and there are not repercussions to actions. They signed on the dotted line. They put their name on the dotted line. And I think this is one of the reasons where federal money and stuff that has flowed so easily from our federal government should be stopped, because there is no risk in this that the person themselves take, except all of a sudden now, I mean, especially now, if everything is going to be forgiven. So I think it's a very, very dangerous precedent that the Biden administration has taken. Especially those who have billions and billions in their endowments are investing in a nation, in a country that is murdering its own people, that is our enemy, truly trying to undermine the United States, undermine the democracy that we treasure so dearly. And so there's literally no reason that we should be funding our enemy. We did it long enough when Biden came in and took away the ability for the United States to pump its own fossil fuels, and we paid for Russia's war of aggression. We should not be, in our nations and our universities and colleges, funding our greatest enemy, and that is China. And sadly enough, a couple people came back, and to their credit, they said, yes, we don't have many investments, but we'll divest. But sadly enough, some of the bigger name institutions said, well, it's not illegal, and so we're not going to have to do it. So we will be forcing them to do it at some point.